speaking to most of a different hemisphere because it is late for me, but it's Friday night. People are up. You've got a lot of people that don't do much. I know you. You're watching my channel. You definitely don't. You have a lot of time on my hands if you're watching my channel. Anyway, there's a lot of questions you're going to be asking tonight if you haven't figured that out yet. Mainly of which I'm going to be reading the chat on an iPhone 5. Hey everyone, Notification Squad, Auntie, Lord and Savior, Pierce, Zach, Cole Crawford, 583, Neamsterdam, Pentel, what's up, what's good? Oh look, I angled that perfectly. Like I'm not cut off, this is just perfect. Okay, yeah, it's 12:30 here. It's 9:40 for me, so it's probably 12:40 for you. You're not reading the watch wrong. So I have my sister and my father's old phone, which is, it's just been an interesting experience. Anyway, why won't it load? Is that a problem? Refried beans? Why won't it load? I don't know. Turn down your quality settings. Let's see if a lot of people have the same problem. Hopefully not. Anyway. Anybody have the P10? I've been hearing a lot about the P10. I'm curious to try its camera. But yeah, no immediate plans on reviewing it, so don't expect that. I should, dude. It's 7:40 here in Hawaii. Excellent, Zach. I'm glad. See, what I'm doing now is that Refried Friday, the reason I'm not going to edit it into like, you know, a video that like just like the other videos are edited is because it takes quite a bit of time, and unless you subscribe to the channel, you don't watch it. And most of my views come from people browsing, not necessarily returning subscribers. So not a lot of views come out of it, but just as much work from a regular tech video has to be put into it. So I figured what would be better was more live interaction, because you guys seem to really like the live stuff, because you guys can comment and I can answer questions live. So I'm going to do that 2 times a week now. We always do it on Tuesday. Now we're going to do it Tuesday just for a basic Q&A. And then Friday we'll do Refried Friday, which is when I kind of look over these comments here. And there were some interesting ones because obviously we got that wave of comments from the Pixel Rant video. And yeah, we got the ceramic iPhone, we got the Nintendo Switch to talk about. Anyway, yeah, we got a lot of comments to go through. A lot. You know, people write these giant paragraphs. There's this guy called Comment Fingers, who puts a lot of work into these giant satirical paragraphs. It took me a while to figure out that they weren't real. You know, he was kidding, because they almost sounded believable. So I might, they take a long time to read, but I almost think it's worth it because it goes into such effort to make it work. So Rowan says, just got my old phone out of the closet and realized it could get Google Assistant. Oh, your old phone out of the closet can get Google Assistant. Yeah, the Google Assistant is not a exclusive feature. It's that's what people kept telling me. You know, the great thing about the Pixel is the Android exclusive. Nothing about Android is exclusive. You can make anything look like anything with Android. That's the thing about it. Anyway, before I read into the live chat, let's. I gotta pick some of these comments here. Okay, so on my latest video, not iPhone 8, it's gonna be called iPhone Edition. Joel Baer says, why do they think they can still get away with a 750p and 1080p LCD display? Come on, Apple. Well, first of all, one of the complaints I had with the Pixel that did not make it into the Pixel Rant was that when I'm outside, at least, my iPhone, maybe something was wrong with mine or the display settings were wrong, but my iPhone was brighter, which bothered me because I was like, I thought this was supposed to be, you know, the optimum AMOLED display. That's supposed to be better than everything. It's like, I can't see it in sunlight. I could see my iPhone just fine, but I could not see the Pixel that well. I had to put it in the shade. I was like, okay, this AMOLED thing, this coloring is really great, so that's great. But like when I'm outside and I'm working, if I can't see it unless it's in the shade, that's not a big important thing to me. So like, people hate on LCD. I don't think that's a bad display. First of all, you don't have to worry about things burning into the screen. That's why with all of our iOS devices right now, we can set auto lock to never. With OLED phones or displays, you can't do that. That's why the touch bar has to shut itself off on my MacBook all the time, is because you can't leave OLED on all the time. With LCD, you can leave that on for a pretty long time, and it's not going to really burn in. And if it does, it's not permanent. What are you guys talking about in the chat? iPhone 4? Audio is sounding weird. It keeps cutting. That's not good. Oh, sorry. I'll click that put in sync button. iOS 7 was good. You know, I got my dad's iPhone 5 today, and it was still on iOS 7. Even though it's, you know, I was thinking earlier, it's quite amazing that we had a device, which is the iPhone 5 right here. I believe it shipped with iOS 6, which was before they did the whole Johnny Ive, you know, minimalistic switch. So we had iOS 6 on a device that is now running iOS 10. That's a pretty long optimized hardware that can still take things. That impresses me still to this day, that this thing ran iOS 6 and can still run optimized modern day software, and it's still running great. I'm impressed by that. Salvador, apps I have on my Apple Watch, it's just the stock apps. Other than Messenger, yeah, that's about it. There's not a lot of good third-party apps for the Apple Watch I can think of, unless you have a GoPro. Palav? Yeah, it's tiny. I said your name, by the way. But yeah, this thing, I don't know how I got by with this. I wrote like an entire feature film script on this back in high school. It's insane that I was able to live with this for so long. This has received minor scuffs. But anyway. No, we don't have an official date for the March event yet, Cole. People are now saying it might be early April because we haven't heard when they're going to figure out anything. Anyway. Okay, we're going back to the Refried Friday comments. In the in-depth Pixel XL review, which rant, not review, there should be a lot of people, a lot of these comments. Jep Waring says, the iPhone 7 isn't embarrassing? Haha, why don't you complain about the iPhone 7 price when the phone barely compares to mid and Android phones? Okay, well, Jeppe, as soon as you find an Android phone that has stereo speakers, waterproofing, dual camera, W1 chip, better battery life, a battery life as good, or a processor as good as the iPhone 7 Plus, then we'll talk. Which currently there is none. Believe me, I have checked. Oh, hey Ryan, what is he saying? I like the iPhone edition idea, and I think they will probably go for it. It's an elegant name, and it would allow the TikTok cycle sort of thing to live on while having the elegance in the name. I personally don't like the name because it doesn't fit in with the lineup. But at this point, Apple is so bad at naming things that it's just, what's the point in expecting any kind of logical sense? To me, the 7S and the 8 made sense because it's like 7S, okay? It's like the 7, S stands for speed. We're making the internals of the 7 faster. With the 8, that's a full refresh when we do a hardware like complete redesign, changing lots of things with the glass back, edge-to-edge display, the OLED, all that, function bar, whatever you want to call it. That's a major refresh. So we call that the 8. We call the basic one with the internal specs just for speed the 7S. It's a simple upgrade. That made sense to me. But Apple doesn't make a lot of sense, you know, with MacBook Pro, 12-inch MacBook, which is lighter than the MacBook Air, and then we still have the MacBook Air around, which is completely outdated in terms of the other MacBooks, and then we have 3 versions of the MacBook Pro, 2 with touch bars, 1 with function keys. It's a messy lineup, and then we've got, you know, iPad Air 2, 9.7-inch iPad Pro, 12.9-inch iPad Pro, iPad Mini 4. So nothing lines up. So at this point, why wouldn't Apple screw up the naming of the iPhone too? Like, someone said in the last Refried Friday, I believe, they had the idea of the iPhones being just like the iPads should have been, which is just the Plus model. You don't call it Plus, you call it iPhone Pro. The mid-range one, you just call iPhone. And then the SE, we call that iPhone Air. That way it's just, you know, it's basically a small, medium, large setup. That's easy to remember, and you could keep that lineup across the MacBooks and the iPads. It's simple. Why can't we keep it like that? Anyway. What is anyone talking about? Why are we all caring about Mark Zuckerberg? This is an Apple-based channel, not Facebook. Jeez. iPhone Sports Edition? Sure. Well, I mean, it's not really an activity track, but whatever. The iPhone doesn't have the W1 chip, only the headphones. Okay. AirPods support, iOS, optimization with the Apple Watch. You can't find an Android Wear watch that competes with the Apple Watch in terms of third-party support, optimization with the iPhone, with the just amount of features you get out of it. There's a reason it's the top-selling smartwatch. Anyway. Charles GAN cars on the Apple car is real. Why is that getting? Is saying Android car? No, Charles. I mean, I think this is a Google self-driving car. That's kind of the same company, but no, it's not Android car. Anyway, they Elite Gamer 45 says they should call it the iPhone S after Steve Jobs, since it's the 10th anniversary iPhone. Would they really be in favor of naming phones after their founder? Well, would they? I don't think so. I would doubt it. Why can't we just 7S 8? It's so much easier that way. Why are we gonna make addition all complicated? Snoopcat says, "What? iPad Mini? I use my iPad Mini 3 for gaming and watching video on a plane or a place where you can't have a giant 10-inch iPad. I hope they continue with the iPad Mini line." Yeah, 10-inch iPad. They're enormous. I'm really hoping that they continue the Mini, and reports are saying that they are. Like, we're going to get 4 new iPads at the end of the month or the beginning of April. I'm excited for that because I don't want to see the Mini discontinued. I'm just confused on what they're going to call it, whether it's going to be Mini 5 or 7.9 inch, but like I said, Apple doesn't know how to name things. But yeah, I don't want to see it go. It was just on that video, which was a don't count on Apple product updates for these things. It didn't sound like at the time that the Mini was getting a refresh, even though I think it should. I wish Apple did everything, guys. I wish we had an SE refresh. I wish we had the iPhone Pro with Smart Connector with the modules on the back. But they can only invest, or a Mac Pro refresh every year. They can only invest in so many things at once. Anyway, what don't you like about the Pixel? Are you just trying to trigger me Prime tutorials? Watch my Pixel rant video. It's 30 minutes. And it's worth every minute of it. There's a lot of likes on that one. Anyway. Man, okay, so people ask about, like, the iPhone 8 constantly. So I spend, all day, I think for 2 days working on that Pixel review. 30 minutes. Let me give you the numbers on it. It's gotten 6,000 views. I don't know how long people usually watch it, but it's got a lot of likes too, so people really like it. But then I make a video about the iPhone 8, and it's just called Thank Samsung for the iPhone 8. That has 8,500. And then I make a not iPhone 8, iPhone Edition, that has 6,000 views. So it's like, I just gotta put iPhone 8 in the title, and I instantly get 5,000 views, and then it continues from there. Whereas I can put all this work in the Pixel, and no one cares. There's a reason, the iPhones are so popular. People are really interested in this stuff. I think I'll save the fingers comment for last because it's a really long one and it'll be fun to walk through. Oh, it's going well, Hannah. Thank you. What's your real name? Andrew Erickson. When was the last time you've seen anyone with an iPod Touch? Owen Hayes asks. iPod Touch. It's been a long time, actually, now that I think about it. Okay, I think I was on a bus and I saw someone using a 5th gen iPod Touch. I don't know why, but I guess they couldn't afford a phone. That's what it's good for. Anyway. They should call it the iPhone 2017, Sam Saden wrote on a video. iPhone 20. Oh, we're just going to ditch that. We're just going to go by the years. All right. Rotimi Coyote says, he probably meant this, it's bad if he's praising Samsung. So if the Apple sheep resorts to praising Samsung in the Pixel rant, then it's a bad product. Which I think there's just some truth to that, because I really didn't like Samsung for a long time. I thought they just ripped off Apple, and I thought they were the arch nemesis. And now I'm like, you know what? Samsung's a good company. They're trying really, really hard to be different from Apple, but still match them in terms of usability and features. So I'm just like, you know what? Let them do their thing. Samsung is helping create a lot of iPhone components, so we don't need to bash them, because obviously Samsung doesn't see Apple's competition. They see them as opportunity to sell, their own hardware. Because Samsung makes a lot of hard drives too, solid states. Anyway. What about SE? Everyone, including me, has one. Forgets about them. People are really, really passionate about the iPhone SE because they like this form factor. I can't. Just using this today, I'm not using it as like my daily driver or anything, but it's really, really complicated getting used to that keyboard size again once you've gotten accustomed to the new sizes. I don't understand the appeal. But again, lots of people do. But I still don't know if the sales for the SE are doing Apple enough, are bringing enough revenue for them to see the SE in worthy of a refresh, other than just upgrading the internal specs on it. That's what we think is going to happen in April. We're just going to get that little storage bump to 128 gig, hopefully abandon the 16, maybe go to 32, but that's all we really got. I don't expect a jet black. I don't expect the new colors. I don't expect the new processing chips in them. Although that would be great, and I wish they would. There's no rumors of it happening, so I don't see it happening. Anyway, let's see what else we got in here. I skipped the 7 for this. I do hope these leaks are true, says Quinn. You know, there was a leak today saying that the iPhone edition won't have a curved display. It'll be flat, which a lot of people were getting disappointed over because so many people made these concept images of the iPhone 8 with all these curved displays, just like the Galaxy S7. If you recall my Note 7 review, curved displays are neat. I don't think they're the future. They might be. They're a cool little added thing that helps get rid of the bezel easier. My point is, as long as you can make the bezel thinner, it looks cool. You don't have to curve the display for me to think a phone looks cool. If you can get that display right up to the edge and you don't have to curve it, that's fine too. Like, either way, curved displays are neat. They're not necessary. They're a cool little feature. But I would be more than okay with the iPhone edition having no curved display as long as that bezel is razor thin and it'll look cool and it'll feel like, one single sheet of glass. Anyway. Final cut on the new iPads. Yes, Cole, please. Tristan says, in your own personal opinion and rumors we have heard so far, which device do you believe will be better and which are you most excited for? Wait, of what, Tristan? Did you say? I'm pretty sure, even though it's going to disappoint a lot of people, the iPhone edition will be the biggest product release of the year. Because that's the one that everyone's looking forward to. I hope that's what you were referring to. Use more nouns next time. But the iPads coming out, I think, are going to generate a little bit of buzz. But at the end of the day, they're still running iOS 10. They still have the same problem iPads have right now, which is they have no pro software optimization to work with. And that's why they're not selling too well. That's why they received a 20% decrease in the last quarter of 2016. It's just because no one is finding a good enough reason to keep buying these things. They're neat. They're good consumer input devices, but a lot of people still want to go with a MacBook or any other laptop, which can do all those consuming media things just fine. And it makes less and less sense to have a dedicated iOS device that's just for consuming media because there's just not a whole lot of pro apps on here. There was one I was gonna try. I forget the name of it. Someone sent it to me in the last Refried Friday, and mentioned, hey, this is kind of a pro editing app. It's $20, which very little reviews. That was the tricky part. It was like it looks pretty legit. Like it had layers of audio and video. If someone could remind the chat what it was, if you're here, please do. But you don't think we're getting a March event? I think it might be early April. That's what just some more reports are saying now. Apple should be more secretive and make different decisions than the rumors. The thing is, Anthony Collins, they're not I don't think they're intentionally releasing this stuff. The problem is they know that there's a high demand. People on the inside, people at Foxconn, people who leak things. We've had the same people leak lots of stuff before. They know there's a huge demand for people to find that information about the iPhone 8 because, I just put it in the title, instant 5,000 views. Everyone's going to watch your video. They understand that demand and they realize that if they walk outside of that factory and say that it's going to be called the iPhone edition, not the iPhone 8, they're going to get tons of people hyped up and they're going to get every news outlet reporting on what they're saying. You get that fame and people will buy you off for that information. And it doesn't have to be necessarily true. There are plenty of leaks and rumors that just come out just because people want attention. People are trying to get stuff. It's going to adopt USB-C. I don't think it will. But they knew if Wall Street Journal of all people shouts that out, they're gonna get their voice heard. And what they need is clicks. It's all clickbait. It is a business. They gotta sell all that. But no, I don't think Apple is intentionally releasing these things. But they're being as secretive as possible. The problem is when you make 80 million devices in the course of a couple months, It's impossible to keep that big a secret. Some people are just going to find out certain things. It's very hard to keep something that major secret. Yes, thank you, Foxconn. Anyway, hey, see the iPhone 7 battery case by Apple? What about it? It's awesome. Yeah, I heard about it. I haven't held one yet, but I really wish we could have a smart battery case for the Plus models. I know Apple's saying, the battery life's great on those. You don't need the smart battery case. It's like, yeah, but I, I would like an extra long battery life if I could take it. I use it up, especially with the hotspot now. And I understand there are third-party battery cases for the 7 Plus. You don't need to tell me that. Anyway. Argo X2007 on the iPhone edition video says, I'm a huge Apple sheep, but there is no way I will pay $1,500 to $2,000 for an iPhone. Sorry. Yeah, I think you're definitely in a big piece of the puzzle there, but I don't think actually, I could be wrong about this, but I do think the majority of Apple iPhone users right now would be willing to pay top dollar for that new iPhone edition, because what we've proven with Apple Sheep in the past is we don't really care about how expensive the Apple product is when we know we want it. And Apple understands that too. That's why they're going to charge so much and put so much effort into this. It's just because when they create a product that they know people want to hold and they know people want to have in their hands and keep, they're like, it doesn't matter what the price is. As long as we make a product they love, they will be interested in buying it. So I highly predict that with this iPhone edition coming out, it might not be the majority of iPhone sales sold, but it's going to be close. In fact, I might even be the first to place my bets on more people will buy the iPhone edition than the 7S. And I know everyone out there saying, no. It's definitely more expensive. It's definitely like no one's going to be willing to spend $1,500 or $2,000 on an iPhone. And I'm not saying it will be that much. I hope it's not. But if it is, I'm just saying, if they did release a $2,000 iPhone, it would not dissuade a very large number of their core user base, which is going to buy the new iPhone no matter what. And we use, I think, that Apple product in particular more than any other one. I think we use our smartphones for, the taking pictures, the camera, the music. All of that gets used way more than our iPads or MacBooks. And our Apple Watch is on us all the time, but we're not like constantly on the display managing stuff. I think I'll place my bets on the fact that the iPhone edition will outsell the 7S, similar to the way the iPhone 5S outsold the 5C. 5C was cheaper, so you'd think, oh, now everyone's going to buy the 5C. Hopefully it doesn't butcher the 5S sales. No, 5S outsold it 3-1, so it did really well because it was better, and that's what Apple users care about, really. Isn't really the cheaper option. Apple users all care about the prettiest one that has the best features. So that's what I'm predicting. I could be wrong. Even if it's $5,000, you might lose even more. Of course, the more the more price bumps you go, you're going to lose more and more people. But do you think Apple will ever use NVIDIA GPUs again? Bert, maybe. But I've answered this before. No matter what the GPUs are, they're going to be faster than last year's. I can't tell you who's making them. But they might switch to in-house. Who knows? Hack, I believe, on the iPhone edition video says, what you think? Should we wait for the edition or take the present one? At this point, I think we're kind of too embedded into the 7. And as we get closer to the release of the edition, you're just going to hear more and more great or / bad things about the edition coming out. So at this point, I say wait. Hold off on iPhone 7 sales unless, you really want that product red one coming out at the next keynote. If you're a diehard product red fan, there you go. But, all the tech YouTubers are going to buy one. But, I was watching an iPhone 8 prediction video on Everything Apple Pro because a lot of people like to compare me to him, so I'd like to, compare myself to him. He mentioned that the iPhone 7, he thinks the iPhone 7S, just the spec bump one, will sell a lot more than the edition. And like I said earlier, I don't think so. I think the 7S is going to be glossed over by the customers. They're going to be like, I don't care about that. We all have the 7. Let's go to the big one. Let's remove that home button. Let's get the function bar in here. That's what I think. And Defy Noah says, my bet is iPhone Pro, so he thinks they're going to call it Pro. I wish they would. And Will Manley says, you should look at the Switch. You know what you should look at, Will Manley? The bumpy release of the Nintendo Switch. Here's the problem when you have so many different pieces and components to a product release. There are more things to go wrong the more parts you have, and that Switch is a perfect example of that. All these people putting on the Joy-Con cap controllers wrong, people trying to put the Switch in the stand and it scratches the display just by putting it where it's supposed to be. And in a teardown of it, I got really mad because I found out that that stand has about a circuit board this big, and the rest of it is just a light piece of plastic. And the more I hear about the Switch, the more I hate it. You know, like no wireless headphone support, Bluetooth speakers of any kind. You can't put the Switch stand behind your TV, or else the Joy-Cons can't connect to it, which is like, it's a big, tall stand. So when you put it in front of the TV, it's going to be covering up part of it. The fact that it's definitely not it's not a master of any art. You know, the mobile gaming side of it, I think, was primary, but in terms of turning it into a full-fledged console, it can only output, you know, Zelda at 900p, which a lot of consoles have been at 1080 for a very long time. So to kind of forcefully put that on the big screen, it's not going to look great for a lot of pro users, especially PC Master Race, who are used to 1080 and higher at 60 FPS and higher. But anyway, review the Mac Pro. I need a powerful PC. You know, I've thought a lot about the Mac Pro. Back when it came out, I thought I was going to save $4,000 and get one. But the thing is, it's really for people who are editing extremely high resolution video. Because my MacBook Pro is editing, I think I told you, it was like over an hour of 4K footage for that Pixel rant. Just fine. Didn't get hot. Exported the whole thing in about 10-15 minutes. I was like, this is great, because I don't know of a time when I'm going to be editing 4K at 60 anytime soon, or anything above 4K if you want to go 5K, 8K. Probably going to be a couple of years before I have a camera that can do that. And until then, this is going to do just fine for me. And honestly, unless you're a professional filmmaker making feature films, I don't see why you need to be filming things in 8K. Looking at you, MKBHD. First of all, we don't have monitors that can support that. Second of all, the detail between a 4K and 8K image is only noticeable after a certain screen size. As in, if you're watching his videos on a 27-inch monitor, 4K, 8K, not going to be a noticeable difference unless you take a magnifying glass up to it. So what it means is your internet is working harder than it needs to, and your computer is also exporting and rendering, and you're taking up more file space than you need to, because no one's going to notice the difference. The difference with 4K is noticeable on, 50-inch, maybe 40-inch televisions, because, when they're at that size, you have to sit a little further back, which means all that fine detail is harder to notice. That's why I don't think we're going to hit that 100K, 200K, like, we're just going to keep increasing the pixels more and more. At a certain point, it doesn't make functional sense to keep upgrading the pixels, just because, yeah, it looks crispy, but you're not thinking about it when you're watching the video. As most of you are right now, you're not thinking about, oh my god, this looks so terrible. I don't think you have an 8K TV. I hope you reach 100,000 subs this year. Such a great YouTuber. Well, thank you, Mr. One Pro. I appreciate that. Yusuf says, it's funny that we all forgot about the March event with the cool iPads in favor of the iPhone edition. Do you think it will ever happen anymore? Yeah, it happened. It's happening. Apple doesn't usually announce keynotes large time in advance unless it's WWDC. But I think at the March keynote last year, it was like 2 weeks before. It was very little heads up. So we should be getting it any time now, but several reports are now saying early April, so maybe count on that. But I definitely don't want to say it's not happening. Salvador says, what do you think is going to be the next Apple product to change the world? Well, I don't know if something as big as the iPhone can be replicated. I think that was kind of a one-time thing. We might not get something else like that for a couple decades. But I definitely think the next big step for Apple is going to be those augmented reality glasses that I think they're working on. As in something you can put on, and it adds holographic images to your tech. As in I can add fake external monitors to my MacBook. I can AirPlay things on a big screen from my little phone, so I can sit it here, press a button, and then with my glasses on, big monitor pops out. Now I don't need to buy a TV. When I look at my watch, I can have little third-party or just in-house designed widgets that pop out of the watch, kind of like, you know, holograms, essentially, is what that would add. And I think that's coming up pretty soon, probably before the end of the decade. We might see Apple release a product like that. It'll be expensive. It won't be that great. Everyone will be making fun of it, but a lot of people are going to buy into it, and it'll get better over time. That's just the story of Apple products. Anyway, let's see some of these comments for Refried Friday. On the iPhone 8 edition, iPhone edition video, a Geely Voodoo says, "I really hope it flops. Apple used to make devices that were that were expensive but perfectly functional, and now they're doing more and more gimmicky luxury products. I don't even see how it can fit their own market. The whole appeal of the brand is that anything made by Apple is premium. If they release an edition iPhone in an iPhone 7s, the average consumer will only be able to afford the 7s and will feel like a low cast who spent $800 on a budget phone." Well, that was quite a mouthful, but personally, no, I don't think a lot of people bought the first generation iPhone because it was perfectly functional. I think they bought it because of the idea of it and the fact that Apple had a reputation for making things that just work. The problem with your lack of functionality thing, which I do acknowledge that as smartphones are developing, there's less and less functional features we're adding, as in there's just less and less we can do. As in we're hitting a wall where there's no more ideas we can have. All we can do this year, apparently, is make things more convenient and look cool. That's the LG G6, that's going to be the Galaxy S8, and that's going to be the iPhone edition as well, is things being as user-friendly as possible, looking beautiful, and still being being better at being functional, but not really adding functional features. We're just running out of ideas, solid. All the companies are. I'm very curious what iPhone in 2019 and 2020 is going to be like. You know, once we remove the bezels, what's next? Where do we go from there? Just make it thinner? It'll be interesting. Jacob says, "You're the best YouTuber. MKBHD and everything Apple Pro aside." Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that. Excuse me. What do you think about the Xiaomi Mi Mix? Looks cool. Not interested. I've checked it out a couple times. It's just, I think the main appeal of the entire product is that the bezels aren't really there. It's like, okay, big deal. Your PPI is kind of low. That was the one thing I noticed about it. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, I'd rather have a high resolution display than edge to edge. You know, it's just supposed to be cool that you're holding like a very, very thin monitor. That's cool and all, but I'm not. I really just want other companies like Apple to adopt that technology and use it on the iPhone. I don't want the phone itself. What material do you think Apple should use in upcoming iPhones? Austin Henson asks. I know they're making the switch to glass because they want to do wireless charging, but a glass back, that is. I really do prefer the aluminum though, as in it looks cleaner to me. It doesn't get as fingerprint dirty, and it personally feels more durable because the aluminum doesn't shatter. But I understand they want the wireless charging thing, so I really wish they could find a way to do wireless charging with the aluminum on the back. Maybe they'll figure that out. But what material? I don't think they will continue aluminum because they're really going to sell these charging pads heavily. Sorry, it's late. I'm tired. But yeah, I'm guessing they're gonna keep it with glass for a while because Johnny Ive wants that single piece of glass vision. But or ceramic. Yeah, good point. Do you use all of iWork? Pierce, no. Back when I was in college, I used Keynote for presentations in school, and no, I don't think I ever used Numbers. I never used any like Excel kind of program though. I never used Microsoft Excel. I never used what is Google? Google has a version of that, doesn't they? I forget what it's called. But anyway, I've never used Numbers or like the number punching programs like that. I do use Pages all the time. I write my scripts in there. I write ideas down in there. So that's my go-to document writing just because it's optimized with Apple. I used to use Google Docs for everything just because I like the collaboration features. But now Pages is doing that. It's not as well, but I don't need to collab as much as I used to. So it's fine. Do you think iPhone edition will outsell the Galaxy S8? Harris? That's a good question. S8, I've heard rumored is going to be more expensive as well. Um, at least when I was doing research on it, that there were several outlets thinking that it could be in $1,000 range, and if not, just significantly more than usual. So, but I don't know why though, because we've already had the wireless charging and the waterproofing. As in, like, the change from the S7 to the S8 is not as drastic as the iPhone 7 to iPhone Edition. There's like 15 different things they're changing about the phone itself. Whereas the Galaxy S8 isn't a major change to that degree anyway. Um, Samsung definitely sells a lot more phones, I think, overall. And the Edition, well, I know it could be over $1,000. I think it could be a lot more than that because it is Apple. So I'm gonna say the Galaxy S8 will sell better. But at the end of the day, how do you rank what is the better, what was the more successful company? The one that sold the most or the one that made the most? Because if we want to talk about who made the most, Apple captured 80% of all smartphone profits last year. So no, they did not sell the most phones, but they made 80% of the money that was brought in. So it's like, okay, Apple makes more, but Samsung ships more. You can dictate yourself who's the winner there. I am an iSheep like you, yes. Do you think that if wireless charging was on the next iPhone, would people pay extra for the charging pads and stuff? If Apple does it, yes, which they will. That's pretty much confirmed by now. The thing is, Galaxy users, the ones I know at least, and I could be wrong, maybe those of you out there really like the charging stuff, didn't really see a need to pay, what was it, an extra $80 in order to, or $70. Maybe it wasn't that much. Maybe it was like 50 for just a charging pad because they're just like, no, I'll just plug in my phone like a regular human being. They didn't really see the convenience added to it. A lot of my Galaxy friends didn't buy the pad because they didn't feel like they needed it. But thing about Apple Sheep, I think they're a lot more, dare I say it, less reasonable than Galaxy users because they're like, plugging in my phone isn't that hard. But an Apple Sheep, there are whole Instagram pages dedicated to making Apple products look cool. There's an Instagram page just for cool looking Apple Watch Series 2 editions. Just the ceramic one. That's a whole Instagram page. Because they're so obsessed with how pretty the Apple products look together. They want to make sure this whole ecosystem, I'm doing it right now. They want to make sure this whole ecosystem looks complete. So the charging pads, I think, from Apple will sell a lot better and they'll probably cost a lot more. Just because. I do like my iPad Pro, Craig. I feel like I have to buy the new one this year because of this channel, because I want to review it and unbox it for you guys, but there's really nothing wrong with my iPad Pro right now. If I wasn't doing tech, I don't think I'd upgrade. Slugger Raptor says, if they called it the iPhone X, they would have to follow it up with iPhone X V2 or iPhone 11, but we know what happened when Samsung skipped some numbers. Yeah, kaboom. But I don't like the name iPhone X V2. That's getting in the complicated Huawei P10 to the H. When they put too many things in the, what was the worst one Samsung had? Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. That was the dumbest name. Anyway, there's too many complicated things. I wish we could just go 8. That makes so much sense. It's just one number, and it's the next one. We had 7. We'll do 7S and 8 same time, but that won't happen. For some reason, I'm disappointed he isn't left-handed. Ricky, I'm sorry. I'm not left-handed. My girlfriend is, though. Does that help at all? I don't know. Anyway. You have the iPad Pro 9.7 with the pencil. Good, Craig. Andrew Liebenberg says, if the next iPhone doesn't have a port, how will we sync it with iTunes? You don't. It's just like asking on the iPhone 7, there's no headphone jack. How do I plug in my headphones? You don't. Except there won't even be a dongle for iTunes. First of all, there's going to be a port on the next iPhone. We're not there yet. But once Apple figures out the charging, wireless charging technology to a point that is adequate and they like it, I do think Apple will be one of the first major companies to ditch ports entirely. Which, of course, we're gonna have this whole headphone jack discussion all over again. When I did that, people got really, really upset. But I was like, this is the future. In a few years, none of you will be complaining. Right now you are, but that's how Apple works. That's how most of their tech happened. They always ticked off a bunch of people and everyone bought it, and then we moved on. And that's the story with the iPhone 7. Everyone hated on it for not having a headphone jack, and then everyone bought it because it was a great phone, and they added lots of new features, even though it didn't look that different. So, please have your girlfriend do a tech video. I would love that, Austin. She is unavailable for that at the moment, but one day it'll happen. Stay tuned. Hey, there's Mark Zuckerberg, thank God. The 9.7 inch seems more practical because it's cheaper and smaller, plus 4K. Man, minus camera bulge. That's one thing that would bother me about the 9.7. I really love that the 12.9's camera is flush with the iPad itself. I wish they would do that, but yeah, you got the 4K camera on the 9.7. But at the end of the day, It's great. I'm not saying we shouldn't have that, but who really needs the photography and video additions on there? You got True Tone. It is cheaper, but you got twice the space to work with here. And more RAM. I think twice the RAM. I think the processor is slightly faster on the 12.9. But definitely don't buy an iPad right now. Wait for the new ones. The Dot Wanderlusted says, alright, this is the nail in the coffin. I'm upgrading from my 6 to the 7 Plus when my upgrade comes on my birthday. I really wanted to wait for this amazing phone, but I don't think it's going to work out well for me. I'm better going for the 7 Plus. Even though I said not to earlier, but this was a day ago, so he didn't know that. This is the cutoff point. We've reached it tonight. This is the moment that it's not worth it anymore. Anyway. Farrah Pitcher says, I just want the 7S Plus for my next phone. I'm not really interested in the addition. So there's still lots of people agreeing with that. You know, if you want aluminum on the back, I think now's the time then. Yeah, iPhone edition sounds okay. I really hope that's not it, though. Apple TDM 189 says, I don't understand why. Why hasn't Apple hired you yet? I wish they did. I would give them a lot of ideas, but first thing I would do is scrap all the names they've used so far. It's just a joke. Anyway, are you going to buy the S8? I don't know, Jobany, because I think I'll like it, but that would make for a boring review. You know, when a Pixel, is such a bad phone, it gives me so much to talk about for that 30 minutes. With the S8, I would be like, this is good. Don't like the fingerprint reader on the back, but what you gonna do? Aspect ratio is a little different. Good job, Samsung, and then it would be over. I don't think I would get many hits off of that. Hen Lao says, do you think that the name X will happen to the iPhones as the Pro versions of it? Will there be a spring event this year? What iPads will be released? Well, I've answered a lot of this, but I hope the X doesn't happen. There's no reports that will happen. That was just one person's idea, but everyone seems to want to run with it. And will there be a spring? Yeah, I'm still not doubting that that's going to happen. It is that time of the year. Apple likes to have a good 3 to 4 keynotes a year. And there will be, as far as I'm reading, 4 new iPads. iPad Mini 5, which I hope is what it's called. iPad Air 3, which is going to be a basic, not a Pro model, pretty basic specs. It'll be cheaper to cater to a younger, more affordable audience. A 9.7-inch display. It'll look normal. Then we'll get the 10.5-inch iPad with the thinner bezels and no home button. And that'll be called the iPad Pro 10.5, I guess. And then we'll get an upgraded 12.9. That's what I'm anticipating. Would you recommend the Google Pixel? No! King Mocha. No. You guys know. You're making fun of me. How many screens can I read at once? Well, this is just here because it looks cool. This is old comments. This is because it's Refried Friday. I don't want to respond to some comments I get on the regular videos. And then this is the live chat over here. I got a lot of screens to look at. Oh, Hannah Jackson commented a couple days ago. 100% support for it being called the iPhone X followed by the X squared. That's genius. Oh, so my idea that you could call the follow-up of the iPhone X the iPhone X squared. I was like, but that only works for a certain amount of time because what do you call it after? iPhone X cubed? iPhone X... What do you call it after? Quadruple? No, it still doesn't work. Yeah, we got a lot of supportive comments. They're not as interesting. All right, hold on. I found one. I found a bad one. All right, let me look at the live chat real quick. What's your favorite emoji? The smirk one. I use that one a lot. Just the, I like that one. Anyone else having problem with audio? Try to refresh. Usually a bunch of people would be bringing it up. What about the 5K Mac for my red footage? 5K iMac should do okay if you're using Final Cut. If you Premiere, it's going to be kicking in some bits. Okay, let me read this big one. Helpful advice, in parentheses. Yes, helpful. Cocky. Anyway, number 1, start using a green screen. Because that looks better. Green screens always look real and legit. Or change to a more enjoyable backdrop. Cool collection of gadgets in the background, but it's dull. Sorry, I thought you were listening to me, not just like staring off into what's behind me. So sorry. Number 2, change your logo, man. It looks like either a t-shirt designed for Under Armour or a woman's uterus. Yeah, I heard that one before. Tons of great places to shop for ideas. 3, that's it. Everything else is great, very informative, and could see myself coming back in if a few adjustments were made. Best of luck. First of all, I've gotten that look for my logo before, but first of all, the woman's it goes this way and then down. That's what a woman's thing looks like. Mine is like T and then up. First of all, that's just the letter T. So I don't know which one comes first, but no, I'm not changing it because I pitched it to the audience back when I designed it and everyone loved it. And now it's too late to change because we've gotten so far into it this far, and I don't like arguing about logos. It's not important to me. The idea of it was it's T for Telosive, and it looks kind of like an apple sheep's head, and there's 5 sections to it, like there's 5 channels to the Telosive network. We thought through that. Makes sense. I'm not interested in changing it. And first of all, don't focus on the backdrop. That shouldn't be changing. That shouldn't be the lesson of why you're watching my videos, is because, well, the green screen looks legit. First of all, green screens look bad no matter what. Even when you get a green screen down correctly, it doesn't look good. You can tell it's a green screen. It should be about what I'm saying, not what's behind me. So don't focus on that. Alex Kimball, calling you out. Nurchua said on the same video, I don't care. I will just keep my iPhone 6S on the iPhone 8 video. Well, if you didn't care, why'd you watch the video? Anyway. You like my logo a lot. Anyway. Thank you. I appreciate that. King Mocha says, Drew, should I buy the 7 or wait for the 8 or X, whatever it's called? Wait. Just wait. It's too far into it now. Anyway. What else were we saying? Yeah, don't change. You're good now. Good. I like your setup. Don't listen to the haters. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just curious because we're live. I can read your guys' comments. Where did you get your Apple mug from? And on your thoughts on the Apple Watch. Good. It's a good watch. It's the best one. Anyway. You can get these at Apple headquarters in Cupertino. These are the only official ones. I'm sure there's off-brand ones. You can buy them online, but Apple HQ, that's where that one comes from. Which I'm not that far away from, honestly. I love Apple nerds because they're all hot and in shape. Thank you. I thought they were going to follow that with, except for Talos of Tech. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. No, actually, I'm feeling rather ripped recently, and I'm not just being cocky and upfront. I'm usually pretty self-deprimental to myself. But at work, which I work, if you didn't know, at a mandarin ranch, we're putting in this giant fence, and we've got these 10-foot T-posts everywhere, and I'm the T-post driver, which if you've never done that before, it is literally one of the hardest physical activities you can do on a ranch, potentially ever, because you can only do it for about 5 minutes until your arms stop working. It's just this giant, about 60-pound piece of metal with 2 handles on the side. It goes on top of the T-posts, and then you just bang it as hard as you can to try to dig it into the ground, and it takes 10, 15 hits to get it down into the dirt and to get it settled. And since they're 10 feet high, you can't just lift them over. So I have to sit in this cage that my boss hooks with a tractor up, and then he lifts up the tractor up to the 10 feet, and then I just where's a picture of it? Yeah, it's on my iPhone I'm streaming with. I can't show you, but it's, I'd say, about a 6-acre ranch that we're putting this fence around, and it's so I am feeling just dead right now, and these arms, like, I can barely lift them up. It's very painful, but I feel ripped at the moment, so I'm very proud. Your setup is genuine, authentic, and unique, and that's rare. Thank you. I appreciate that. Will the iPhone 8 have a 3D front-facing camera? Probably. A lot of people are saying that works going into that, so I would expect that. I don't know what the 3D is going to help with, but yeah, it likely will. What is your favorite item on your desk right now? Ooh, good question. Good question. This is a tough one. I don't think the pencil. It's neat, but that's definitely not my favorite Apple product. AirPods are pretty freaking amazing, but I've been really impressed with the MacBook. I'll say AirPods because I listen to music with it, and I can use the AirPods with all my Apple products, other than a standalone. AirPods are pretty amazing. Anyway, if we get attacked by Martians and we just go to Mars, and you can only take one Apple product, what Apple product would that be? iPhone. I could run my whole tech channel from my phone if I had to. Pixel is fine. It's not that bad. Yes, the iPhone was better OS, but hardware on Pixel is better, so it is. No, Avi. Hardware was not better. The camera was okay. I still don't think it's better than the 7 Plus, and I don't think it's better than the S7, and it's going to be outperformed by the S8 in a couple weeks. The Pixel hardware is trash. First of all, you include the headphone jack, which we don't need. That's one argument. But if you do need it, it shouldn't be so trashy that it takes 9 seconds for the Pixel to realize that it's plugged into something. The fact that it takes something that long, and this is something that iPhones have been doing for years. As soon as you plug in headphones, it starts playing through them. That's very simple. With the Pixel, it's like, oh, wait. So, what's plugged in? And then they put the speaker on the wrong side. It's just improperly placed functions like the Touch ID on the back, the speaker on the left side so that when you're holding the phone you cover it up on accident. No stereo speakers. Front-facing camera, too wide angle for me. I prefer it being a little cropped in because it looks more legit. But anyway, Pixel hardware is garbage. No expandable storage, which is something Android users like. And if you don't have expandable storage, you should at least offer 256 because that's more than enough for people, so you don't have to worry about running out like on the iPhone 7s. PlayStation or Xbox? First of all, Apple TDM. Both of them suck. Don't get either. If you want to game, get a PC. But PlayStation is better. Thoughts on Apple Campus 2? Looks great. Bay Af. What was your first iPhone? iPhone 5 was my first smartphone. Phone, period. I never even owned a flip phone before. What's your favorite thing about Android that you'd like to see perfected in iOS? Joey, great question. Easily chat bubbles. That is such a unique and easy experience to understand. It's not complicated. I don't think it's like other things Android puts on that is unnecessary, like a split view multitasking. There's not a good way to use that. Or, what was the other one? Picture-in-picture on a handheld device that's that small. Doesn't make sense. You don't need to have that, but they put it on there anyway. But the chat bubbles, add that to Messages, Apple. That would just add so much more functionality. Anyway, my girlfriend's online, so I'm gonna text her really quick. Just gonna let her know. Yeah, you're gonna hear those clacky keys, huh? See? Just being a good boyfriend because that's what I do. Anyway, who else is commenting? Cameron Walton says Samsung tried to make their own OS, but Google was like, if you do, then we will not partner with you anymore. So they didn't. It was going to be called Tizen. Oh, really? I didn't hear that, Cameron. That's a shame that Samsung couldn't be independent from Google. They feel like they needed Google's help to be successful. I guess there's probably some truth to that, but yeah. Wait, what'd you say? But we have free space in Could, so it does not matter. But anyone can use Google Photos. Google Photos is not an exclusive thing to the Pixel. iMessage on Android, I think Apple would lose so many customers if they optimized iMessage for Android, because. And yeah, this is all streaming on my Verizon hotspot. That's correct. Because Verizon Unlimited is great. what is it? So many people love that optimization of iMessage. It's too good to convert over. Um, People love the fact that you can text people with a ID that is their phone number that is set up. So with one app, you can SMS as well as iMessage the same people. It was just such ahead of its time, and they got people in that cycle now for several years, and it's really hard to break away from it. You don't want to be the one green guy. And if they move it to Android. Whatever happened to your Moto X Pure review? It's probably not happening, okay? My cousin's had it for a long time. I don't think there's that much demand for it, so don't hold your breath on that. Do you think there will be a new MacBook Air, and do you want to see iMessage on Android? Well, I'd like to see it, but I don't... It'd just be nice if everyone was using iMessage, both Android and iPhones, because then, you know, we wouldn't have to worry about green people, period. It would just be blue everything. It would just basically be a Facebook Messenger competitor, and I think it would win. But the MacBook Air was updated. It's called the 12-inch MacBook. That is the Air. Just you get used to that. Anyway, what else we got? Will S8 have more features than the iPhone edition? I don't think so, but just because it's coming out so much time before it comes out, the 8 comes out, the edition comes out. Sorry, there's too many stupid names. Like the fingerprint reader on the back, I think that's going to suck compared to the iPhone edition, which is going to embed it into the display. That's awesome. It could eventually get to a really cool point. No, I'm not keeping the Pixel. It's gone. Where there's not even a fingerprint reader section of the device. It's literally the phone comes on, and when you tap, it's just going to say tap to unlock. As soon as you touch the display, the fingerprint reader is so fast and so detailed that just touching it once, it's like, that's the owner. Okay, unlock instantly. And it's so spontaneous that it's not a touch ID to unlock. It's just a raise, tap, automatically unlocks. That quick. And I don't think that'll happen with the edition, but I think that's what they're going for, so that, you know, when you use your phone, it's like not having a passcode at all. You can enter all your fingerprints on there, so as soon as you touch the display, unlocks, and as soon as you hold it to someone else, they tap it, locked. It's like, oh man, my finger doesn't work on there. That's what I think they're going for, and it might happen. Can there will any chance of headphone jack in iPhones anymore? If they refresh the iPhone SE, it'll probably still have a headphone jack. Refresh is in give it more storage, not like a whole redesign. Anyway. But yeah, no, don't expect headphone jack on the 7S or the iPhone 8. The headphone jack is dead. Except if it's the iPad or the MacBook, apparently, because Apple's weird. Why don't they just call it the iPhone 8? It's simple and uniform. Thank you. Apple's my defibrillator. Thank you. Absolutely true. What do you think Apple should be doing with Siri to compete with Google Assistant, Alexa, and Cortana? Well, first of all, just make it faster. Make it understand the call command easier. Make it better at understanding that from across the room. Make it understand pronouns like the Google Assistant does. That's really clever. And Apple has said that artificial intelligence is a big part of their future. So they are working on Siri, and I think that's what WWDC this year will be a primary focus on. Perfecting Siri, because right now she's kind of behind everyone. Anyway. Well, guys, it is getting late. We've been streaming for just about an hour now, and I've got family in the other rooms, and they're trying to sleep. So in consideration to them, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Going to try to make some more videos tomorrow. I'm currently working on how to fix the Google Pixel, because I don't believe anyone should be completely left out of the question. And the Pixel has plenty to fix, so that'll be just kind of a wish list video about how to make the Pixel a mainstream competitor to today's modern flagship. So anyway, this is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Now I gotta awkwardly get up, walk all the way over here, and hit stop.